The following non-nominated, non-award-winning program is rated D for Dumb.
The following podcast is rated D for Dumb. You're listening to Dumbing It Down with Dave, the fastest podcast on earth. Listen to Dave commute to and from work on the New York State Thruway in his 2008 Kia Rio LX. He talks about pragmatism, truth, happiness, and the search for it all. Join Dave as he asks and tells you how life ought to be. And now, here's Dave.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Dumbcast in a Carcast in a podcast. I'm Dave Canyon. Are you ready to dumb it down? Oh, thank you so much. Wow, thank you for the fake applause. I appreciate it. It's just a matter of hitting the button, and I get you guys to scream and yell as if I was like the Beatles or David Cassidy. There you go. Already references from the 70s for 500, Dave. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. I'm glad that you're listening. It's been, forgive me for I have sinned, it has been 2.5 months. May 16th, I think it was episode 316. There, got a couple of 16s in there. I should play that for the big lottery. Yeah, it's been a while since I did a Dumbcast. And I can tell you why. I thought about that. I said, you know what? I hate when podcasters do that. You know, I don't like when they tell you why they are or are not. I don't like when they discuss their schedules. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to hear about it. But here's what I'm going to do. I don't know if I can hold out for a half an hour because it's only going to be a half an hour show. That's what I usually try to do during my commute. Normally in my Kia Rio, going to and from work on the New York State Thruway. But today we're doing it in the Caravan, the Dodge Caravan. And I was thinking about that today. I'm thinking, here's what we're going to do. We're going to play a little game. We're going to play a little game. It's a dumb game. 2 of you will play it, I'm sure. But here's the game, all right? Why have I not podcasted in the last 2.5 months? Why have I not podcasted? You can put a guess. You can put in multiple guesses. You can give me a list of guesses. If there's not enough room in the Spreaker chat box, I hope you're listening on Spreaker. If not, you can always email me at dumbingitdownwithdave@yahoo.com. That email hasn't changed in 7 or 8 years. And to this very day, I think I've gotten 2 emails. In 10 years, I forgot how long it's been. dumbingitdownwithdave@yahoo.com. You can go to my Dumbing It Down with Dave Facebook group, and you could post your reasons. You can do 1, do 10, it doesn't matter. I'll give you a hint. I will give you one hint. The hint is, it starts with the letter A. Terrible, right? What a horrible clue. So whatever you say, don't say bashed on the head. You got bashed on the head because that's with B or H. I didn't get bashed on the head. Or you can say, the Kia broke down. That would be with a K or B or whatever. So no, it starts with an A. The big part of the reason starts with the letter A. So this way you know when you do post if you do play along, which I assume maybe one of you will, maybe 2 of you, but it starts with the letter A. Okay, there you go. That's the game. And the winner, well, if you want, I'll mail you out a Mickey or a Minnie Mouse keychain. I should post pictures in the Facebook group. There you go. That's what I'll do. Why have I not posted a podcast in 2.5 months? It starts with the letter A, and the winner gets a keychain, a Minnie or Mickey Mouse keychain, one or the other. All right. Anyway, it's good to be back. I'm on the New York Thruway, of course. I'll give you the weather and the mileage report right away. I think I recently did an episode, it might have been 316, where I say I was going to do it, I never get to it. I never got to it. I think I just said it, and then I got distracted. So, the mileage report on the Dodge Caravan is 125,776 miles. Oh, I might have done that a little bit too early. Yeah! What the world needs now is love, sweet love. Yeah! Thank you, Jerry. 125,776 miles. It's a 2011, I think, Dodge Caravan. Anyway, so it's good to be back. I'm on the New York State Thruway, southbound, headed home, and the weather in New York, it's hot. It's hot. It's supposed to be like 90 some odd degrees outside. It's sunny. For those of you who have been keeping track over the last how many years, when I've done weather reports, 9 times out of 10, the weather is fantastic. So if that's not an advertisement for the New York State Tourism Bureau, I don't know what is. I should get all those clips. I should get a clip of, do a show. Well, who would listen to it? I could put it on YouTube, I guess. The highlights of all the weather reports. But yeah, beautiful weather. It's very hot. I'm going to go home and take a jump in the pool. But anyway, so where have I been? What have I been doing? What's going on? What's going on with you? What's happening with you guys? I haven't had one person. You know how you're supposed to say, the amount of attention I've received. Dave, where are you? Are you okay? We've been worried about you. The Facebook group is like, where's Dave? It's like almost as bad as Richard Simmons. Where's Dave? We're going to do a podcast called Where's Dave? How come we don't hear from him? It's been so long. Not one person. Not one tweet, not one email, not one message, nothing, nowhere, no how of concern for Where's Dave. So I guess it's true, when you're podcasting with consistency, you build an audience. And then once you take time off, like for every couple of months you take off, you lose 10% of your audience or whatever. So I took off, like a year and a half, I took a podcation. And I just took another 2 months, although I don't consider this a podcation. 2.5 months, yeah. I guess I lost everybody, all 5 of you. So that's fine. I'm starting back from scratch. All right, so Dave, one of the problems that your show is you have a long intro and you don't get to it. You already haven't gotten to it. You're 7 minutes in. Get to it. All right, well, here we go, folks. Dumbing It Down with Dave has always been a show I do in my car, in my mode of transportation, whatever it might be, the Kia, the Caravan, going to and from work on the New York State Thruway, speaking my mind, whatever's on my mind. I hit the button and I talk. Pragmatism, truth, happiness, and the search for it all is the subtitle. Because I'm all about pragmatism. I've been honing in on it, sharpening it, learning about it, using it to the best of my ability, sharing it with you, and trying to get to the answers of life. And for the last 2.5 months, I've been here. I've been healthy enough to podcast. I've had personal issues. Do you care about that? You could, you might not. But if I share with you a personal issue, I would share. Why am I yelling? I bet you that sounded like hell. I can't stop this and re-listen to it. I just realized I don't have to yell. This microphone is so hot. I don't have to yell. I forgot. I'm sorry. I probably overmodulated all of that. And I feel terrible about that. I'm not going to stop. I can't do this again. Because if I do this again, I won't do it. It'll be horrible. So sorry. I apologize, folks. Stupid me. I've been healthy enough. It's just that it's been like one thing after another. Like, I'm tired. I'm too tired. I don't want to yawn through the whole thing. Or a lot of the days, I didn't have either vehicle. And plus, we're going to play this game of when I did have those vehicles, or whatever. What was the problem? When I was ready to podcast, what was the problem? There have been a lot of days where I go, okay, I'm going to talk about Biden. And then I go, I got so much to say. Where would I start? And I just would get I was my own worst enemy. Let's put it that way. Have you ever been your own worst enemy? All right, so let's do that. If I talk about something, it's not just about me. I don't want this show, even though it is Dumbing It Down with Dave. But one of the things I've learned in life, I'm not saying I learned it. I think I've already known this, but I like to think I've done it a lot of the time over the last 316 episodes, is that it's not just about me. Even though the show has my name in the title, it's about us. It's about you and me as human beings on the planet. So if you can, share with me in the Spreaker chat box or, in the email, dumbingitdownwithdave@yahoo.com. Does anybody email anymore? Remember once upon a time we all used to write letters? Remember you used to write letters? You got a piece of paper and a pen. Then that all went to hell when everyone was getting a computer, and then you would type your letter because it looked so neat, and then you would get the margins set and all that other craziness. You get Microsoft Word or whatever it was, and you'd make these letters. But before that, we would write. We would write postcards. We would write letters. We'd fold the paper in halves or thirds. We'd lick the envelope. We put a stamp on it. We'd lick the stamp. We lick the envelope, and then eventually people go, blech. I hate doing that. So you got a stamp that was self-stick, right? You'd peel off the back, which I'm amazed environmentalists let us do that because it's even more paper being used. And then there's the envelopes. We were licking them. Oh, they taste horrible. Blech. Tastes like glue, right? I don't know what they taste like. Turpentine. Tastes like something horrible, something toxic that could kill you, especially if you're about to get married to George Costanza on Seinfeld. If you remember that whole deal, toxic envelopes. Then we stopped writing letters. We started writing emails and texts. I'm pretty sure personal letters. If anybody's keeping track of personal letters, again, I'm yelling. Personal letters have dropped. What do you think? Here's another question for you. So the first question is, have you ever sabotaged yourself so bad? Like I have, like I do, like I've shared with you over the last 7-8 years, how often I've sabotaged myself because in my head, I can't do this, I can't do that, until it's like 100% sink or swim, that type of thing. So I do that all the time with this podcast. I'm always giving you excuses why I didn't do it. Because, I didn't know enough about the Biden episode or the Hunter episode or the Trump episode. So I was like, I'll wait till tomorrow when I learn more. And then by the tomorrow comes, I'm yawning, I'm too tired, or that's not even in my head anymore. Now something else is in my head. And I got to tell you, it's kind of comedic over the last 2 months. If I wrote down every day, if I kept a journal, which I've said on the show 1,000 times, if I kept a journal, I would know. And I keep on saying I'm going to keep a journal. I found all my journals. I found empty journals, and I took my journal to work with me like 2 or 3 days or a week. And I think I wrote like 3 things, like Dear Journal. And then I fell asleep or whatever it was. So I can't even get going on a daily journal or 3 days a week journal. I can't even get going on that. But the other thing is personal letters. Personal letters. Have you written when's the last time you wrote a personal letter? When's the last time you took a pen and paper? If you wanted to say, I typed a letter and then I mailed it, fine. Okay, so when's the last time you mailed a letter or a postcard? So if you mail the post, by the way, do you mail postcards from your house, or are postcards only for vacations? That's it? Because for me, that's usually it. Like, I could go right now to... Actually, I don't even know where I would buy a postcard. Where do you buy postcards? Usually you're at a vacation place. And they have them, like, in a rack. In those racks. You go, oh, look at that. That's a pretty picture. I'll send that picture. But I don't even know where I would go in my hometown. Where would I go to get postcards? I guess I got to go someplace touristy? I don't even know if people send postcards anymore. Do they just send pictures and a text? It gets there in 2 seconds. All right, so I wonder. So when's the last time you wrote a letter, a personal letter? You can say you can ask if you can write down that you typed it. You could talk about sabotaging yourself. When's the last time you were supposed to do something, whether it's an exercise program or turning over a new leaf or being nice to somebody or cleaning your house, writing a journal, whatever you decide, and then you sabotage yourself. You don't do it. And and every day you give yourself a reason why you're not doing it. Quitting smoking, quitting drinking, quitting something, starting something. Once upon a time I would do this episode, I would do the show twice a week, no problem. No problem. But, you know what? I was a lot angrier back then. I definitely have been meditating. I've been getting older, more tired than ever before. I'm a little bit better now over the last couple of weeks. I have been exercising. But not consistently, believe me, not consistently. But I'm a lot less sore. I used to be very sore getting in and out of my truck at work. I'm a truck driver, for those of you that don't know. So, it's been quite a ride. I've had other personal things that I'm going to talk about in future episodes as soon as they get resolved. All right? There's definitely like 2 or 3 things that I'd like to share with you, but right now they're not complete. And that's not sabotaging myself. That's being smart, because the end of the story hasn't happened yet. So when the end of the story happens, I go, okay, I know that's the end of the story. Then I'll do it. I know I'm going to talk to you about it because I've been living it for the longest time. And I always say, I'm going to talk about this next episode. As soon as this story ends, as soon as I know there's an ending, I'll talk about it. So, what else has been going on? Folks, between living in the Northeast with these Canadian fires, with the smoke, or the smoked air that's becoming the Northeast. I don't know where you are in the world that you have or have not experienced smoky air. Some of you actually live in places that actually go on fire, whether it's the forest or the desert or wherever you've been. It's really horrible. But when you're sitting or wherever you are at home, and then all of a sudden the smoke comes into your area, and you go, "Oh, is somebody barbecuing? Somebody burning wood or whatever?" And they go, "No, it's Canada. Canada's on fire." You go, "Really?" And it travels hundreds of miles down south? Yes, because there's a lot of fire. It's millions of acres on fire. And what's interesting in New York, living in the upstate New York, south of Albany, is that the coverage of the smoke is immense. When we see smoke, the health warnings, all of that, it is immense. It's a lot of time. Coverage of the actual fire is like zero. And I find that to be fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. I don't know anybody that's seen or heard anything about these fires. How they got started, I don't know anybody. But then again, I don't really work or live in a water cooler situation. My wife doesn't really watch the news. I just usually listen to it on the radio because I'm in the truck most of the time. Very rarely have time to go home and watch more news. So I hear about things, but I don't see about things. But and people aren't talking about it. I have a theory. I just have a theory about the Canadian fires. If you want to hear that, I'll share you. Do you have a theory about the Canadian fires? You probably don't, because you haven't thought about it, and you don't live in New York, you're not worried about it. But here's my theory. My theory is the fires in Canada that I think are still burning today, for like a month now, I don't even know, are as a result of white supremacy in the Canadian Forestry Bureau, whatever they call it. Everybody's blaming everything on, racism and white supremacy and all that other stuff. So I decided to take a page out of the playbook and say, it's got to be white supremacy in the Canadian government. Because, how else would this happen? These people are probably living high on the hog. They figured, oh, it's Canada. What can happen? Nothing can happen. It's a very quiet, peaceful place. We just squelched the truckers' riot, or whatever that was, the truckers' protest a couple of months ago or a year ago. We're not out of COVID just yet. Not Canada. Canada's got different rules. No, they're fine now. They let me in the country. I work in Canada a lot or a little, whatever, enough where I have to show credentials to get in and credentials to get out. So, mostly Montreal, only Montreal. And so they're not, there's no talk about COVID anymore. I don't see anybody wearing masks and all that other stuff. But I do think that they got lazy, and it's probably 100, 1,000, 10,000 white people that work in the Canadian Forestry Bureau. There's probably a few non-whites, and they're afraid to talk. They're afraid to raise their hand and say, you think we should do anything about this forest? And they go, they would go, hey, shut up, have a beer, have some habits or tablets or whatever they call it, sabbats, shabbats, whatever, I don't even know what it's called, tablats. Anyway, I can't believe I can't remember. I actually like that beer. But, sit down and be quiet, or is that Nova Scotia? Who cares? It's all up there. And they didn't do nothing about the forest. Because really, folks, think about it. I mean, millions and millions of acres are burning or have burnt. How does that happen? How does that? Lightning? People are camping out? You don't have forestry? Don't they have Mounties? Don't they have Mounties everywhere on their horses? They have those shiny red outfits or whatever they are. Like they're on parade all the time. I have no idea what a Canadian Mountie looks like or dresses like. But, it wasn't just 1,000 acres. It was millions. And I haven't seen any footage of it. I have no idea what the rest of the country is talking about. Are they covering it? I haven't seen pictures of it. I haven't seen videos of it. I don't know anybody that's talking about it. Can't get past the smoke. And I will say this, there have been many days where I would drive up and down the road and I'd have the window open and I'd go, oh, what is that? And then I'd start coughing. And it's not power of suggestion. That was even before I knew. I was driving around one day, I was like, oh, what is that? Because the only thing, because I don't have a sense of smell. I've never had one. Never had a sense of smell. I have no idea what anything smells like. Well, how do you eat? I eat just fine. That's what everybody always asks. Right after I tell them that. You can't smell. No. How do you eat? Oh, nothing stops me. But, was I yelling again? I'm sorry. But, yeah, so I was driving down the road. I had a Mitch McConnell moment there. I was like, I was just staring at the space. If you don't know what happened, watch the news. Mitch McConnell had a spell. Something happened. He's done. He's old. He's finished. So it's sad, but true. So anyway, sad for him. Not sad for me. Sad for him. Sad for his family. He's old and he's unhealthy. And really, he should have retired a long time ago. Mandatory retirement in the government? I don't know. I don't think so. I think it should be, if your health declines, you should retire on your own. I don't think it should be mandated. Or maybe everybody should take a cognitive test every year. And then all you hear about is how everybody's, bribing the guy, or there's some sort of foul play in the cognitive test. Anyway, I'm going down the road and I open the windows and I wanted to get some air, fresh air, not the air conditioner air. And bleh. I was like, ugh, is that Marlboro? Am I in Marlboro country? Because that's what it tasted like. I couldn't smell it, but I could just taste it. Like, is that great taste of Marlboro country? Should I go put on a cowboy hat and sit on a horse and watch the sunset? And then I hear on the radio that's Canadian smoke. And it was worse down in the city, in New York City. It was much worse. It was darker, orange skies, just terrible. All right, so anyway, I made it through that. Of course, I've made it through COVID. This politics thing, I love to talk about it with you. It's so crazy. Everything changes so quickly. This whole Hunter thing, Joe thing. I don't think Joe's going to run for office. I don't think they're going to let him because his health is declining. He's frail. He's not all there. And I'm not just saying that because that's a Republican talking point or whatever they call it. It's, you watch him, you go, yeah. I mean, he kind of fell asleep there on the Israeli president. You saw him mumble. Although I must admit, I watched that scene. I should have posted it on my Facebook page, and I should have edited it, and I should have discussed it on a podcast. The closed captions did say what he said. So it wasn't that he was mumbling. I think he might have been falling asleep. Listen, he could be tired. I'm the worst person, the least person to complain about. Why am I yelling? To be tired. I'm tired all the time. But, when you get dressed up in a suit, you're meeting with the Israeli president who hasn't been to this country in I don't know how many years. And, it's a big deal. It's not the Israeli prime minister, it's the president. He gave a really great speech. I don't know his name. Yitzhak Rabin Schwartz Mandelbaum. I have no idea what his name is. But I can make those jokes because I'm Jewish. And then he sits down with the president, and the president closes his eyes and looks down, and his hands are together like he's in prayer, and he starts mumbling. But the closed caption, because I watch TV with closed caption, because I can't hear, which is probably why I'm yelling. By the way, I'm going to take a water drink. Oh, it's been a long time, guys. You go ahead, take your time, and have yourself a beverage break. Wow. Water with apple cider vinegar. Holy cow. A little heavy on the apple cider. Woo-hoo! That's strong. Sarsaparilla. Anyway, so I don't think they're going to let him run. Not to mention all his legal troubles. How do you feel about all that? How do you feel about his age? How do you feel about his cognitive skills? How do you feel about Biden's presidency? How do you feel about his presidency? How's he doing? I could give him a C. I can give him a D. I would give him a C instead of a D. D being worse than a C because he stayed alive and he hasn't let Kamala take over. Then I'd give him an F. Because that's the worst. So stay in there, Joe. You're horrible, as far as I'm concerned. You're really horrible. And not because I'm a registered Republican. I hope you guys know that. I know a lot of my Democrat friends don't believe me. And the ones that used to be my friends that are Democrats that have left me. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine being my friend for 26 years? No. I'm 59. Can you imagine being my friend for over 40 years? You're my friend. We used to write letters to each other, actual letters to each other. We visited each other. We spent time with each other. Serious time. We bonded. We know each other's secrets. Not really. I don't tell anybody my stuff. But, and then, one little political thing and boom, we're not friends anymore. And you guys know that's not my doing. That's not my doing. I could be friends with all the liberal elite. I could be friends with anybody. I'm not going to say this. If I say anything, people go, oh, why? Because it's so hard to be friends with a Muslim? No, I actually have a friend or two that are Muslim. They're not outwardly all Muslim-like. They just exist. Like me. We just exist. I don't go around Jewing everything up. Hey, I can't do that. It's not kosher. Hey, it's a high holidays. Hey, I don't do any of that stuff. I don't talk about religion. I don't know anything about it. How can I talk about it? I don't know anything about it. I can't talk about anything specific. So it's funny that I know people that would just stop talking to me and just friendship over, visitation over, correspondence over, because I have maybe not just an opposing view, but it's not that. It's not because I have an opposing view. I know a lot of people believe that. Oh, if you have an opposing view, they cancel. No, it's not an opposing view. It's a view that they don't have and they disagree with. See, if they disagree with it, it doesn't have to be opposing. It could be a variation on the theme. It could be, maybe I'm being too technical, but it's that they disagree with you. And then that's where the trouble starts. So somebody says, well, I would take a left. And then I go, well, you could take a left, but, if you take a left, there's a pothole there. So what I would do is I would take 3 rights, I think. If you're driving a truck, you go right, and right. And then maybe another right. There you go. Take 4 rights. And then this way it's the same as taking a left. Something like that. Whatever it is, they go, they would, if they disagreed, they go crazy. And they get angry at me for potentially believing that there's any other way other than making a left. Oh, I don't have my glasses on. I've done it again, folks. Have I done it again? I think I got a minute. I'm going to assume I have a minute, because I can always end the show early. Why don't I have my glasses? What's wrong with me? Stupid Dave. Still making the same mistake, right? I even have a recording that says, Dave, are you wearing your glasses? No, I'm not. I forgot all about that. So anyway, first episode in a long time, 2.5 months, and I'll do my best to be more consistent. I've said that before. Podcasters have said that before, so it's kind of like cliche to say that. Please, if you can, answer those questions. If you want to play the game, why haven't I podcasted in 2 months? The answer starts with the letter A. Absolutely starts with the letter A. The sentence doesn't have to, but the reason starts with the letter A. And, when I tell you, no, it doesn't. It starts with another letter. I go, listen, A is in the answer. All right, I already explained how that works. Let me pull over here because I think I have a minute, but maybe less than a minute. And I don't want to screw this up. I screw this up all the time. So, folks, don't forget, tweet me at Dumb with Dave. The Facebook group, the Dumbing It Down with Dave Facebook group, is still going strong. Not strong, but it's going. And it's great to be back. I'll do the best I can to keep on coming back. This has been a production of .001 Productions. Yes, it has been. And, that's it. 20 seconds early. Yeah, .001 Productions. That's me. I'm Dave Canyon, and I appreciate you coming along for the ride and dumbing it down with me. pragmatism, truth, happiness, and the search for it all. Participate in the Spreaker chat box. Don't forget to share this with your friends, your enemies, and your neighbors and lovers. Take care, everybody. Bye.